You'll remain standing for a moment of silence. The first item on the agenda are public comments. If you go to the microphone, just please state your name and address. And just remember that the person that's typing the minutes are not in the room, so it's helpful when you talk into the microphone too.
I'm Jennifer Spohr. I live on 573 Kansas. I'm also an election inspector, and I was going to comment on the proposed increase to the wages of the people who work the election. A lot of times, I work several positions. One position I have paid time off, so as long as I have vacation time, it doesn't really hurt me financially at that job. But my second job, I make $12.95 an hour, and we're working 6 a.m. to the polls closing at 8, and often longer than that until at least 9 or 10 o'clock. It's a 15-plus hour day with no overtime. So I hope that there's some recognition that a lot of people, even though it is public service, it's something that's important to me. It's also important that people be recognized that they are taking the time to make sure the democratic process is followed through to the nines, and also that it can be audited and validated for validation of the votes. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments at this time?
Hi, I'm Stephen Hudak, 553 Malbetch Street. Thanks everyone on the board for doing all the work, and especially for taking up the snow removal ordinance. I didn't want to waste too much time now, but I just had a question, and it might be considered a suggestion if you can't answer questions. But has the snow removal ordinance come up with a committee yet, a subcommittee to iron out the details? So many good comments and issues came up from all of you last time, and it seems like lots of those could be ironed out if a subcommittee was formed. I would be happy to be on it also. And then that would save a lot of precious board meeting time and make it easier for people to understand, and you'd be a lot closer to the final product. So unless you've already done this, that's my suggestion, and I hope we can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments?
My name is Arloa Kaiser. I live at 1421 Melvin Street, and if I may approach the board, I have some pictures for you. May I?
Can we give him, yeah.
You never mowed my lawn. Anyway, I am opposed to the snow removal ordinance. I have had a petition with many names, and they are opposed to it. There are quite a few people who are opposed to having a snow removal ordinance. They say they already do it. Snow removal is very difficult, and ice especially. There are pictures in there of, I don't know how you would keep the ice off from where you have to, the approaches with these little knobs. There are streets without sidewalks. Why do I have to be punished because I have a sidewalk? And the gentleman who has, I use the term loosely, who has the petition out to have the board make a snow removal ordinance, does not have sidewalks. There's pictures in there of Washtenaw, which I think he's also concerned about. And my understanding of that would probably be taken care of with the re-imaging of Washtenaw, which would, instead of doing something now, financially it would be taken care of in that project. And if this person wants sidewalks, I believe that the $173,000 from the sale of the property of the cell tower should be used to give this gentleman sidewalks, so then he could be on a playing field with the rest of us, which also giving everyone sidewalks is going to deforest a lot of our streets, and I am still opposed to it, and so are many people. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kaiser. Are there any other comments on the public comment?
My name Robert Harrison. I live 812 DeSoto, West Willow. I'm in agreement with this young lady about the proposal of extra $1 an hour, some compensation for the election workers. I know it's a long day, and there's not many people want to sit for 15 hours, and we do get a break, but I think that it's in our best interest that we be compensated for the time that we spend, and it is volunteer work, but you still should be in range with the, not minimum wage, but just to appreciate the people that's volunteering their services, that civil service to come out and do the things that we do. And I appreciate it if we could get $1 an hour extra raise instead of some double time or overtime. We're not in the factory or nothing like that, but at the same time, a little extra onto the regular hourly pay wouldn't hurt. Thank you very much.
Are there any other public comments at this time?
If I could just do a rebuttal real quick.
Steve, you don't go back and forth. If you have another comment, you can make it to the board, but we don't do rebuttals.
It's slightly different then.
Okay, very good.
Stephen Hudak, 553 Malbech Street. The reason I started this years ago, or a couple years ago, was when I moved in here, we were astonished that wheelchairs and people in general couldn't walk on Washtenaw in the wintertime or on Packard. We live near there, and that was one of the major reasons to try to get a snow removal ordinance passed. Whether I have sidewalks or not isn't relative. My petitions actually surveyed people with and without sidewalks from all parts of the township, including condos and apartments, subdivisions, and everywhere. And most of the people, after you explain the ordinance to them, not just asking them because they'll say no at first, but you have to explain, they will say yes. So I just wanted to say that, and this really does make sense. Thanks.
You. Are there any other public comment?
Hi, my name is Emma Reidner. I live at 573 Kansas. I also would like to address the snow removal ordinance. In our neighborhood, we have a lot of disabled and a lot of elderly people. They struggle as is to just get snow off of, just so they can get to their car and go to work. In addition, our neighborhood does not get plowed by the city. The service drive that goes around our neighborhood, it does. We do not get touched. So we have a situation right now where we could be looking at a law that requires everyone to clear their sidewalks, but at the same time, then spend 30 to 40 minutes trying to get out of our neighborhood. So I am disabled also. My spouse here has mentioned she works multiple jobs. So we don't have a ton of free time. We don't have the ability to clear all these sidewalks. And I understand that some neighborhoods do have, there are people who need their sidewalks cleared, and if they need to, they can do that, but unfortunately, it is a severe burden on the rest of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Did we get your name? I heard you say your name.
Oh,
Yeah, I heard her. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's Emma Marie Reidner.
Yeah. All right. Hearing another, I do want to take a moment to just introduce Sarah Jo Shipley. She's our new Economic Development Director, and she wanted to come in. Do you have anything you'd... So, I don't know if you want to say anything here?
Thank you. That was a very lovely welcome. Thank you, everybody. I'm very happy to be back home in Ypsilanti Township. My previous work was with the City of Kalamazoo as a brownfield redevelopment manager, and before that I worked in Northern Kentucky Area Development District doing a variety of things, but economic development was one of those. So I'm glad to bring those skills here and contribute back to the township that I was born and raised in. So thank you again.
All right, thanks. We have the consent agenda, minutes of the July 17th work session, closed session, and regular meeting, and the July 24th special meeting, statements and checks, and the June 2018 treasurer's report.
Move to.
Support.
Motion Rowe, support Eldridge. Are there questions or comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Attorney's report?
Madam Chair, we have reached an agreement with the AFSCME local in regards to current contract negotiations that were entered into. The contract has been ratified overwhelmingly by AFSCME, and I've asked the board to set aside some time this coming Friday for a special board meeting so I can go through and Karen Wallen, who's away today with her daughter's new entry into college, can be here to go through everything chapter and verse. I have sent out to the board members the copies of the agreement that was approved by AFSCME, as well as a summary that will go into more greater detail Friday morning, hopefully. In regards to Liberty Square, we continue to try to acquire the remaining 6 vacant parcels. We have a closing scheduled for tomorrow for one of the vacant parcels, and I just received confirmation this evening that one other owner that resides in California has also agreed to proceed via FedEx to complete that closing. That will then reduce the number of properties that are not owned by the township to 2. And we're in negotiations or conversations with one of the other owners, other person we've not yet made contact with, but I think with that we're continuing to make progress in acquiring those parcels. In regards to the Habitat for Humanity homes that we acquired through our right of first refusal, we do have the quitclaim deeds finally from the county treasurer, and as you've seen from the correspondence, Habitat Housing Director Rob Nisley has requested Absolute Title, which is the title company they use, to commence with the paperwork so we can convey those properties to Habitat as soon as possible. The township currently is insuring those properties until we actually make the conveyance to them, and once they are, I believe the Habitat will move swiftly to not only insure them, but more importantly, rehabilitate them and go forward with their program. I did send over a newspaper article that Angie and other people in my office saw from the Detroit Free Press that again kind of explains why we do what we've done over the years in trying to make sure these properties do not fall into the hands of speculators. There is an item on the agenda tonight in regards to the cell tower. I'll just briefly state right now that this is the one remaining cell tower that the township has leased over the number of years. Back last year, we thought we had a deal with the cell tower company to get more or less obtain our future rent payments in the sum of $175,000. We had a snafu because they wanted us to prorate the check that we had received from Crown Castle of $18,900. This year, they came back. In fact, Clerk Rowe and I were talking in the conference room when the phone call came in. They've agreed to increase the amount to $176,400, and the $18,900 check that we just got in August. Larry has that in his coffers now. We will keep that, so therefore, it kind of increases the dollars available to $195,300. So that's before you this evening. As Trustee Wilson keeps asking me to keep on looking under every rock and shaking the money tree, it's getting fewer rocks and fewer trees, but so we've done what we can. In regards to the status of the request for proposals on the River Grove townhomes, I'll be sending over another draft probably this week on the RFP. We also will need to file an action to quiet title to make sure that we can give the successful bidder an insurable title. If you recall, this is a 17.19 acres that was given to the township. I say given by Treasurer McCleary when the taxpayers in the chain of title defaulted, and while we received a quitclaim deed from her, we have to be able to give any future purchaser a more secure deed, a warranty deed, so they can obtain the financing to finish building out those condominiums. So I'm working with Margot Brown from Campbell Title, and we think we have a very, very straightforward approach to do that in terms of identifying who needs to be notified in that chain of title. The next item update is very, very disappointing. In fact, it's very, very disturbing to me because both the Township Board, specifically our office, Mike Radzik, we proceeded in a very, very straightforward and good faith conversations with the Ypsilanti Community Schools in regards to the demolition of Kettering School and Thurston schools. Those schools have been totally abandoned by the school district. They've been allowed to deteriorate. If they were owned by any other entity besides the Ypsilanti Community Schools, suffice it to say, we would have already been in court. This board actually authorized court action. I know Trustee Williams and Eldridge, two alumni from the Ypsilanti Community Schools, are very, very concerned and upset, also as well as the board was, in regards to how these schools that were left in the former Willow Run School District have been left to deteriorate, become attractive nuisances, and actually have become at times an embarrassment to everyone when you go by and see how these buildings have been left to deteriorate, to rot. They've been tagged with graffiti and continue to almost in their own right, be a symbol of blight. Well, back in early spring, we met with the former school superintendent, their facilities director, and other people, and we were told point blank that they too were embarrassed by what had occurred with Kettering and Thurston. And they made a commitment that they were going to proceed with the demolition of those two schools. I can just go through my Dropbox this evening and the number of letters that I have sent to them confirming those commitments, asking for a timeline as to when they were going to begin the demolition process, the RFP process, over and over and over and over. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Well, on July 23rd, after continuing to sound like a broken record and also at a point where I can't just keep on writing letters, I had received an email from the superintendent. I understand he's gone now, but at the same time, this is on July 23rd, when he says that basically that the cost for the asbestos abatement had exceeded more than what they thought, even though their facilities report back in 2015, it still came in less than what they had projected 3 years ago. But anyway, he went on to say that right now that we are they were going to proceed with the demolition of Kettering. The Thurston project is on hold, and we will actively shop for a purchaser. And so at that point in time, they were changing the commitment already by saying, we will go ahead and do Kettering. We're going to put Thurston on hold, even though that was not obviously the deal that was made before we could actually, again, have further dialogue. That's when we received notification that the superintendent had resigned, was going to be resigning effective, I think, August 14th of this month. Well, today I received an email that I think probably pretty much just, I think, says it all in terms of where we're at today. I just want to take a moment and read this because you might explain as to why I will now proceed, unless the board tells me otherwise, to do what we were going to do back in the springtime based upon the good faith commitment here. And just bear with me for a quick second here. And this is what the supervisor's office received today. And again, it's a very, very bothersome. Basically, it's addressed to our neighborhood watch coordinator. But it says, this is from their facilities director. Due to the more than doubling of the cost to demo Kettering and Thurston, the board has decided to include the demolition of these buildings as part of our sinking fund proposal, which will be on the November ballot. What the voters do will determine how we will proceed. Due to poor attendance of the Facilities Advisory Board meetings, that committee has been disbanded. We are hopeful that voters will approve the sinking fund so we can move forward with our demolition plans. So basically, you have a school district that has created its own problems here. It's allowed these schools, and primarily in the Willow Run School District in the township, to deteriorate over a period of years. And then after promising they were going to demolish those, saying they're now at a point now they will demolish them only if the people will approve a special millage to demolish these buildings. So I guess you're being rewarded for being derelict and not taking care of the buildings to begin with. That's how I see it. I think it's very, very irresponsible. More importantly, I normally wouldn't have said these things in a public meeting, but I believe right now that everybody needs to understand right now that when you make a commitment to do the right thing, you do the right thing. And then later on saying, well, we're not going to do it because it's going to cost us more, and we want the taxpayers to pay for something that we ourselves did not do our oversight of. I think that's the definition of irresponsibility. And so, again, this was very, very disappointing to receive this information. Very disappointing that they did not proceed in good faith. We felt they had. We felt they were. I know I did. I think the supervisor did. I think Mike Razik did. I think when we sat there and they said, we are embarrassed, this will not go on past the spring and summer this year, and we committed that in writing, confirmed it in writing, we believe that they would. It's always a little bit awkward when you have to get involved in litigation with another neighboring municipality. A lot of the interests that the township has are inextricably linked to the interests of the YCS, but at the same time, where do the residents who reside near Thurston or in Kettering, what are their rights as a township resident when they see the township actively holding property owners accountable for their properties that are mismanaged, vacant, abandoned, blight? What is their rights when it comes to holding the school accountable for this neglect? You got to keep in mind some of these schools have. You saw the pictures. They left behind. Classroom materials. They left behind furniture. They left behind even things that could actually be used in terms of a chemistry lab, etc. Left a kitchen. There's a lot of things in there that we know for certain that at least in regards to Kettering, there were people that had been living in that school. We found some of the police departments were somewhat concerned about when they respond to calls, how to handle this because of the fact that they don't know who may be in these buildings. At the same time, our fire department's concerned. We've found evidence where people that we know have been injured or actually have found blood inside the buildings. So I'm pretty much at a point where, again, we've done all we can do. I think we have no choice but to proceed. Very, very disappointed. We never had this kind of conversation with the school people. If they were going to change their mind, they never let us know until the 12th hour. And I don't think that's, when you bargain with your unions, you have a understanding you're going to proceed in good faith. And I don't believe we were, they've handled this issue in a good faith manner. And I believe that we now have no choice but to proceed. Just wanted to let you know that we exhausted our patience and we tried to do the right thing by not immediately going into court, giving them the benefit of the doubt. And this is, I guess, like the old saying goes, no good deed goes unpunished. But at the same time, I think we have to move forward now.
Madam Chair.
Any other?
I just wanted to add, thank you, Doug, for dealing with all of that. But not only is it just a shame and a thoughts about our residents that live near those buildings, but it's about our students too. Like when we say the school district isn't, it's not following through, we're not talking about our students, we're talking about the leadership there. And it's really incredibly hard from the top down to teach students how to be quality people who are upstanding, who follow through with their word if their leadership doesn't do it themselves. So I just am incredibly disappointed with their actions. But thank you.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to thank Doug for dealing with all this constantly behind the scenes, and definitely, as we authorized earlier this year, any legal action that's necessary that you have to do to rectify this. And just a quick comment, November election, okay, there's going to be millage. There's also going to be 3 school board positions available as well. So.
Madam Chair, thank you, Attorney Winters, for trying, anyway, and also Mike Rezick and everyone else that was involved to get this situation with these schools that have been abandoned for a while now resolved. It is, I know Ypsilanti Community Schools is different from Ypsilanti Public Schools. It's a new school district, but in the same aspect, as alumni, it is very disappointing to see that this couldn't come to a conclusion, that did not have to take this next step. These schools, as you mentioned, Kettering and Thurston, have been empty for a while. They have been in deteriorating condition for a while. I think to say that the residents in those communities have to wait to see a result of a sink and fund millage to see if the schools are going to get tore down, that is not right. I think that the residents in those communities have already paid for, it was formerly run public schools at that point, but since schools are combined, have already paid tax dollars in order to see these things done. So it's a shame that this, next action has to be taken, but it has to be taken because the residents of those communities deserve to be able to know that they are in communities without buildings that are basically falling apart. So thank you for your work on this.
Clerk Rowe?
Who was the email from? I'm sorry.
Steve Burgess.
Oh, it was from, he's like the facilities.
The facilities director.
So did they vote on that, or is it clear, was it clear in the email, or is that?
It's clear.
It's clear as they.
The board's made a decision, they're
board.
postponing any action
Yeah.
until they do the millage.
Yeah.
They're a sinking fund, so I would assume that it's coming from the top.
Yeah, I'm just sorry that we spent so much time basically on a promise. I think what's more just appalling is that, well, we have the middle school, but it's closing. This was its last year. So technically, actually, in the the old Willow Run School District, we now have homeschool and forward, right? They've closed every single school in that district, and now they're saying, too bad, live with the crap that we left you, and you got to pay more. And the people in the Willow Run School District are paying higher taxes than anyone in the county, probably in the state, because they picked up that huge bond of 30-some mils or something, whatever it is, Larry knows, it's better than me at that. They picked that up to build a new high school and build a new middle school that's closed down, and now we're going to slap you in the face and say, pay some more, vote on this in November, and then we might tear down those buildings that are destroying your neighborhood. I think maybe it's time just to go to one of their board meetings and protest or get a group together, because obviously they're ignoring the letters. Steve, no one they don't care about what they've done to our residents, in particularly that live in those neighborhoods where those schools are at. And I'm really frustrated. So I am. I'm going to go. I'm going to make that commitment to myself to go to their next board meeting under public comments, because I'm not sure it'll make any difference, but I'll feel better when I get done. So.
One of the ironies in this whole situation is that because of the way that we negotiated that pilot agreement with the ACM, if you recall, while none of the taxing units get dollars from ACM except for the township through the Renaissance Zone pilot agreement, the school taxes, the assessments do get placed on the tax roll. And why I say why it's ironic is because we negotiated in that agreement that whatever assessment was placed on that property by our assessor for the school district, that they had to agree in our agreement that that number could not be appealed to the state tax tribunal. So in other words, when Assessor Linda Goslin put a $30 million assessment on that property in this past year, or $15 million for the SUV from $100,000, whatever it was the year before, that $15 million they now pay taxes on, that is a non-appealable, number that is a guarantee to that school district for the next 10 years. And I remember that day that we told that to the superintendent, I think, Dr. Edmondson, that I think before he left the room, he was on the phone telling everybody in the school board all the good news that had occurred because of the ACM. Again, normally when you have an assessment placed on real property, the person who has that assessment still has the right to challenge that in the tax tribunal. That was negotiated away from, the benefit of the school, because the school doesn't have to worry about going to the tax tribunal or defending any of this or paying or giving back the money through a settlement at the tax tribunal. In other words, that was a significant benefit that we negotiated at that time that was going to benefit YCS or even Van Buren, for that matter, if a portion of that's in Van Buren Township. So, it's a sad situation, and I did forget to mention that I think that maybe just to help maybe counter that, and maybe with the new economic development director being here, is that I think there was finally a closing on the Gulf Village, and I think Mike Radzik is probably, him and Denny McLean from my office has been like the point individuals in that regard. And I think that closing has in fact taken place. So Mike might have some additional information that what I don't have beyond of all the things we're dealing with. But I didn't want to end on a bad note, because there has been a lot of good things happening here, and they're all good things happening. But at the same time, I wanted to let you know about what's going on with the school. And at least the Gulf Village may be finally something that we can also look forward to having a positive outcome.
Mike, before you say something, Larry and I sat in some of those meetings with Ypsilanti Community Schools. Our goal is compliance. It's not to take people to court. We just want people to comply, and we relied upon their commitment to do that. And we told it to the residents in that area that this is what was going to happen, and I think they violated the public trust by reneging on their action to demolish a building. I mean, they clearly committed to doing that. And I know that Thurston School Neighborhood Watch, they email us all the time trying to find out when. So we got the email today, and so we've already authorized court action if necessary. I say it's necessary. Michael?
Hi. Dennis McLean informed me earlier today that the closing of the sale on Gulf Village did conclude on Friday. He's been in contact with a local attorney who will be representing the new owner, and he's making arrangements to add the new corporation owner to our existing lawsuit, and then to move forward, pressing for the timeline for renovations and improvements that have previously been agreed to. So with all due caution, we're optimistic that something positive may occur.
What did they, and they've repaired the things that were asked for, right, from Galt Village?
The receiver
The
has
cleanup.
made arrangements using the rents that have been held in escrow, and a lot of the repairs to the retaining wall and some other features of the site are underway, yes.
Good.
Yep.
Well, think positive, right? Anything else, Mr. Winter?
So is this the Cliff Notes version?
All right. Under old business, we have the second reading of Resolution 2018-18, proposed ordinance 2018-479, and ordinance amending the Charter Township Ypsilanti Code of Ordinances, Chapter 48, Township Parks, Section 61. Clerk Rowe?
Would so move the adoption of Resolution 2018-18 in reference to ordinance number 2018-479 that will amend the Township Code of Ordinances, Chapter 46, Township Parks, regulating the possession of firearms in township parks. So moved.
We have a motion support. There's a resolution and ordinance that actually details out what this second reading is about. State law change that said air or shotgun or paintball guns are allowed to be open carried. They cannot be discharged in our township parks, but this amendment to our ordinances is in line with state law. So they can carry it, but they can't discharge it. Any questions or comments on that? This is a ordinance, so it requires a roll call vote. Rowe?
Yes.
Yes.
Ridge? Ross Williams?
No.
Rowe?
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
The second reading is approved and adopted once it's published. Number 2 is Resolution 2018-21, which is establishment of the Township Supervisor salary, which was tabled at the July 17, 2018 regular meeting.
Move to take from table.
Support.
Moved by Rowe, support by Eldridge to remove from table. Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Clerk Rowe, Resolution 2018-18.
I have
2018-20.
We have a resolution, 2018-21, establishes the township supervisor salary, and whereas according to MCL 41.95, paragraph 3, in a township that does not hold an annual meeting, the salary for elected officials shall be determined by the township board, and whereas in 2018, the AFSCME Teamsters, administrative confidential employees, and elected officials did not receive a wage increase and remained at their 2017 salaries, and whereas in 2018, the Teamster and firefighter contracts were negotiated and ratified with a 3% increase in wages, and whereas in 2018, the administrative confidential employees received a 3% increase, and whereas the AFSCME contract is currently, could change that now, has currently been ratified with a 3% increase. Now therefore it be resolved that the salary for the office of supervisor shall receive a 3% increase from $79,419.19 to $81,782.20, and further resolved that the elected officials' wages be paid bi-monthly per our auditor's recommendation. I would so move the resolution.
Support.
Motion Rowe, support Wilson. Comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
I didn't get who supported, I'm sorry.
Wilson.
Thank you.
The next item is Resolution 2018-22, establish township clerk salary, tabled at July 17th, regular meeting.
Move from table?
Support.
Motion, Gerald Rowe, support Eldridge, to remove from table. Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Stumbo, yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
It's now properly before us. Clerk Rowe?
I have Charter Township, Ypsilanti, Resolution Number 2018-22 to establish the clerk's salary. Whereas according to MCL 41.95, paragraph 3, in a township that does not hold an annual meeting, the salary for elected officials shall be determined by the township board. And whereas in 2018, AFSCME Teamsters Administrative Confidential employees and elected officials did not receive a wage increase and remained at their 2017 salaries. And whereas in 2018, the Teamster and firefighter contracts were negotiated and ratified with a 3% increase in wages, and whereas in 2018, the administrative confidential employees received a 3% increase, and whereas the AFSCME contract is currently been TA'd for a 3% increase, and now therefore it be resolved that the salary of the office of clerk shall receive a 3% increase from $79,419.19 to $81,782.20, and be it further resolved, the elected officials' wages will be paid bi-monthly per our auditor's recommendation.
So move.
Motion
Support.
Rowe. Support Eldridge. Discussion? I have a question about bi-monthly. It's for this year, right?
It's like, says that we get paid twice a month.
Well, I know, but the salary is increasing, and it's for this year, so,
I think what they did with the other officials, they just calculated it. Lisa, you know, because they did you. They calculated it and just figured out what that was and set that for the rest of the year, right? Yeah. Yeah.
because we're adopting it so late.
So late, right.
Normally, it would be earlier, so
Right.
it's weird. Okay. We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is Resolution 2018-23, establishment of the township treasurer's salary, which was tabled at the July 17th meeting.
Move from table?
Motion Rowe, support Eldridge to remove. Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
It's now properly before you. Clerk Rowe?
I have a resolution, 2018-23, to establish the treasurer's salary, and whereas according to MCL 41.95, paragraph 3, in a township that does not hold an annual meeting, the salary for elected officials shall be determined by the township board. And whereas in 2018, AFSCME Teamsters Administrative Confidential employees and elected officials did not receive a wage increase and remained at their 2017 salaries. And whereas in 2018, the Teamster and firefighter contracts were negotiated and ratified with a 3% increase in wages. Whereas in 2018, the administrative confidential employees received a 3% increase. And whereas the AFSCME contract has currently been TA'd at a 3% increase, now therefore it be resolved that salary of the office of treasurer shall receive a 3% increase from $79,400.19 to $81,782.20, and be it further resolved, the elected officials' wages will be paid bi-monthly per our auditor's recommendation. I would so move the resolution.
Support.
Motion Rowe, support Gerald Rowe to approve the resolution. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under new business, we have budget amendment number 12. Clerk Rowe?
I have a motion to amend the 2018 budget. It's the 12th amendment this year. Move to increase the general fund budget by $374,996. The majority is the Civic Center and Community Center roofs. Later on our agenda tonight, the salary for the rest of the year for the new Economic Development Director. It also includes the bus stop design for OHM, which is actually a pass-through of CDBG funds. To increase the bike, sidewalk, rec, roads, and general fund budget by $2,400 for the pickleball courts windscreens, which are on the agenda, to $2,151,495, and approve the line item changes as outlined. To increase the 14B District Court Fund by $857 for a PTO payout to $2,487, and approve the line item changes as outlined. To increase the Building Department Fund by $73,000, and that's for the graphic sciences property files to be digitalized to $836,188, and approve the line item changes as outlined in the department. and to increase the hydro station fund budget by $47,760, which is a change order, which is on our agenda later tonight for generator number 2 to $652,035, and approve the line item changes as outlined. I would so move the budget amendment, number 12.
Support.
Motion Rowe, support Doe. Are there questions or comments?
Can I just ask a question real quick? I'm going to vote yes, but I just have a question procedurally. I know this has been done this way for years, and I think I asked this once before. It seems like we always put the cart before the horse. We approve money before we've approved the project. Can we put the agenda items in front of this, make sure they get approved? If something doesn't get approved when we get to the budget amendment, I think in the same meeting, we can always ask for reconsideration of an issue and change what we did. Sometimes we approve money before we've even approved the item on the agenda. I just wonder if we could switch that around so that when we get to a budget amendment, we've already approved those items. If something changes, we can always do a reconsideration vote during the course of that very same meeting. Just a question for moving down the road.
Clerk Rowe does agendas.
Yeah, well, how we used to do it, which is very cumbersome, but we can go back to that. We used to do because you can't approve something and spend money if you don't have money. So we used to do like each agenda item and say, improve budget, change, da-da-da-da-da-da. Like, and if you see now, it always says in line item, it's already budgeted. So this was a suggestion, I can't remember if it was by the auditors. But anyways, but you can't, we can't approve to an item if there's not money there for it. You have to have the money there. So like I said, we used to do like whatever you see, like the hydro generator number 2, we'd say and approve budget amendment, blah, 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 and line item, blah, blah, blah. And then we do that for each item where there wasn't money in there. That's technically the reason why it's done that way. But
I think you could approve it contingent upon the budget amendment, because the budget amendment's in.
This just seems backwards the way we do it. So just a question moving forward procedurally.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, actually, I do like your suggestion contingent upon. So basically, if there does need to be reconsideration, that, would be possible. So let's put that suggestion.
yeah, what do you mean, you do the budget amendment continuing on and getting approved?
No, you do the agenda item contingent upon the budget amendment.
That's correct.
Later on if I understand what.
That's correct, yes.
We've done it both ways.
Suggested before, yeah, we've done it
It's
before.
cleaner, easier for auditing and the person doing for Giovanna.
Well, doing it this way, I always feel like I'm obligated then on an issue, and I'd rather not feel that obligation before I talk about it.
Gotcha.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And we'll look at doing it that way the next time. Number 2 is a first reading of ordinance number 2018-480, an ordinance to amend Chapter 62, Article 4, Section 6276 of the Code of Ordinances, which is the Charter Township of Ypsilanti adjustment of water service rates. Clerk Rowe.
I have an ordinance to amend Chapter 62, Article 4, Sections 62 through 76 of the Code of Ordinances of the Charter Township Ypsilanti to adjust the water service rates. Be it ordained by the Charter Township Ypsilanti that Chapter 62, Article 4, Sections 62 through 76 of the Code of Ordinances be amended as follows. For billings rendered prior to October 1st, 2018, existing water service rates shall prevail. For all billings rendered on or after October 1st, 2018, water service rates shall be as follows for each bi-monthly, 2-month period. Readiness to serve rates based on the size of the meter. And then there's a list on in the ordinance from 5/8 to 3/4 is a water rate to $14.94, all the way down to for 12-inch water mains, the rate is $4,855.50. And the commodity and water contracts community rate is $3.23 per 100 cubic foot. This ordinance shall be effective upon the date of publication. I would so move, adopt first reading of proposed ordinance 2018-480 for the water adjustment to the water service rates.
Support.
Motion by Rowe, supported by Rowe, and I know YCUA is here. You might want to explain it. We have some residents here. Just to-
Okay, as I had stated earlier, at its regular meeting on August 22nd, the YCWA Board of Commissioners will be considering a water and sewer rate modification to our current rate structure. Under the new rate structure, the minimum use charge will be removed and replaced by a readiness to serve charge. The proposed readiness to serve charge rate structure is more equitable for our customers to pay a consumption rate for every interval of usage. The readiness to serve charge structure has become the main method for utilities across the state, while the minimum use charge method is becoming phased out. Our current rate structure has been in place since the 1970s. YCUA is requesting your consideration for a change in the ordinance to modify the current rate structure that would take effect October 1st, 2018. A draft of these three ordinances for the Township Division are included in your material. I do anticipate at the August 22nd YCUA Board of Commissioners meeting that the board will consider a recommendation to the Board of Trustees to modify the current minimum uses rate structure and replace it with the readiness to serve charge rate structure. What this means, as I discussed earlier, is currently the minimum use charge is based on each size meter. For example, a residential customer who uses 2 units of water gets charged for 6 units of water. The new readiness to serve charge will replace that. And so, for example, the readiness to serve charge for water every 2 months would be $14.94 for water. The readiness to serve charge for sewer would be $15.68 every 2 months for sewer, for a combined effect of $30.62. With that, each customer will be charged per 100 cubic feet of water and sewer on top of that. So for every 100 cubic feet of water and sewer, a customer would be charged $5.81 per 100 cubic feet of water. So as an example in comparison, a current Ypsilanti Township customer using 2 units of water under the current rate structure would pay $59.41. Under the new readiness to serve charge, that same customer using 2 units of water would pay $42.24. A current residential township customer using 4 units under the current rate structure would pay the same, $59.41. Under the new readiness to serve rate structure, that customer would pay $53.86. Our sprinkling meters also would have the same reduction in usage. I'll go to the medium users in 1 second. A customer who has a sprinkling meter is a second meter that is used just for irrigation. So the master meter is used for domestic, and then a customer can purchase a second meter for sprinkling purposes if they have an underground sprinkling system or they have a garden that they like to water all the time, where they get charged just for water, not for sewer. So currently, a customer that uses 1 unit of water for the sprinkling system will pay, under the current structure, pays $30.63. Moving forward, that customer would pay $10.23. That same residential customer using a sprinkling system using 3 units of water would still pay $30.63 under the current rate structure. Under the readiness to serve charge, that same customer using 3 units of water for their sprinkling purposes would pay $17.16. The amount of money that the customer pays per usage is based on what they use. As we move up for the medium uses customers, a customer that uses currently 12 units of water, which would be our average customer, under the current rate structure, that customer that today uses 12 units of water would pay $94.94. Under the new readiness to serve charge rate structure, that same customer using 12 units would pay $100.34, which would be a $5.40 increase every 2 months, or $2.70 per month. Is there any questions on the consumption?
No, but basically what you're doing is charging people for the water they use,
Correct.
which is since 1974, even if you use less than 6 units, everyone's charged 6 units.
Correct. The users basically using 6 units or less, basically 5 units or less, have been supplementing the medium users for the last 40 years.
Yeah. So now if people want to conserve water,
Correct.
they're actually going to be able to do that, especially if they're on a tighter income.
Correct.
This will greatly benefit.
Yeah, and we intend on making this information more friendly user to the customers, to the board, as well as how to conserve water, where to look for those resources, whether it's a new toilet, dishwasher, washer, don't turn the water on while you're brushing your teeth. All those things do count and help out.
Mm-hmm. And this is first reading,
Correct.
so there'll be more time to
And
discuss
the first ordinance is the sewer ordinance is to amend the current sewer ordinance to implement the readiness to serve charge, which also incorporates a 2% sewer increase. The water ordinance is amending the old ordinance to incorporate the readiness to serve charge. The third ordinance, which is the surcharge ordinance, is to repeal the existing surcharge ordinance, because the surcharge goes away because the 5% surcharge that the township customers pay is implemented and incorporated in the readiness to serve charge and the commodity rate.
Other questions or comments?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Just as a reminder, we discussed this in the work session, but our board every year and in the years moving forward will surely continue, but we offer subsidies for residents who are struggling to pay for their water bills. So, just as the finances are a concern, we still offer that service to our residents.
It's always difficult to go from one rate structure to a new rate structure. It's hard to explain. It's hard to comprehend. We feel that although it's a readiness to serve charge rate, we consider it the right charge, the right rate for our customers.
Jeff, if I may, I just have one more question. I meant to ask it earlier. The average customer currently uses 6, is what you said, or no?
The average YCUA customer is approximately 10, 11, 12 units of water every 2 months.
Okay. I'm just trying to get my head around some of these numbers. So I'm looking at some of these numbers, and if I use less than 10, it looks like kind of this new system. I'm a less than average user.
Correct.
But yet I'm paying more money, and I'm a less than average user.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Hopefully it gets clear in the next 30 days.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just a comment. Same as Trustee Eldridge, in a way, I need more clarity. And I know there's going to be a second reading on this, and I'm sure in that time we'll get together, and that way I'll be able to get that. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we have a motion and support on the first reading of this. There will be a second reading with more information to come. Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Stumbo Vochet? Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
The first reading is approved. The second reading, we can have more discussion even. But I do think basically what it does is make sure that people, if you use less water, you pay what you actually use. And I think that's fair. Number 3 is a first reading of ordinance 2018-481, an ordinance to amend Chapter 62, Article 4, Section 62 through 77 of the Code of Ordinances, Charter Township Ypsilanti, adjustment of sewer disposal rates. Clerk Rowe.
Be it ordered by the Charter Township Ypsilanti that Chapter 62, Article 4, Sections 62 through 77 of the Code of Ordinance be amended as follows. For all billings rendered prior to October 1st, 2018, the existing sewage disposal service rate shall prevail. For all billings rendered on or after October 1st, 2018, sewage disposal rates shall be as follows for each bi-monthly 2-month period. Readiness to serve rates based on the size of the meter. 5/8 to 3/4 is the sewage rate will be $15.68. 1 inch, $39.20. 1 to 1.5 or 1.5 inch, $78.39. 2 inch, $125.43. 3 inch, $391.96. 4 inch, $783.92. 6 inch, $1,567.83. 8 inch, $2,743.71. 10 inch, $4,311.54, and the 12 inch is $5,095.46. The commodity rate is $2.58 per the cubic foot, and this ordinance will be effective upon the date of publication. I would so move adoption of the ordinance 2018 first reading. Thank you. 481, adjustments of the rates to Chapter 62, Article 4, Section 62 through 77 of our ordinances. So moved.
Support.
The motion in support. Any questions or comments?
Madam Chair, I just wanted to clarify for anyone who's interested in what a cubic foot is, it's 764 gallons.
748.
748 gallons. I thought that was interesting.
Trying to sneak in a few gallons.
All right. Gerald Rowe,
Yes.
Eldridge,
Yes.
Ross Williams,
Yes.
Rowe,
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes, Stowe,
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
This first reading is approved. Number 4 is the first reading ordinance 2018-482, an ordinance to repeal Chapter 62, Article 4, Section 62-79 in the Charter Township Ypsilanti Code of Ordinances. Clerk Rowe.
I have ordinance number 2018-42, first reading, repealing the Chapter 62, Article 4, Sections 62 through 77 of the Code of Ordinances. An ordinance to repeal Chapter 62, Article 4, Section 62 through 79, Paragraph K of the Charter Township of Ypsilanti Code of Ordinances, which provides for restricted debt retirement and capital improvement fund surcharge on the water, sewer service, and sewage disposal bills, because said surcharge is now a part of and fully included in the readiness to serve and commodity rates established by the water rate ordinance at Chapter 62, Article 4, Section 62 through 76, and established by the sewer rate ordinance at Chapter 62, Article 4, Section 62 through 77, each rate ordinance being effective October 1st, 2018. Be it ordained by the Charter Township Ypsilanti that effective October 1st, 2018, Chapter 62, Article 5, Section 62 through 79, Paragraph K to the Code of Ordinances is repealed. Ordinance is effective upon the date of publication and after approval of first and second readings. I would so move the first reading.
Support.
Motion Rowe, supported Gerald Rowe, to approve the first reading. Comments or questions? I do think it's important that in the future that we have work sessions on this prior to it being placed on the agenda. And secondly, I also think it's very important that our attorney is updated and provided, make sure you have a clear understanding on how we're moving forward with this. And also, there's going to be a mailing to all the residents explaining the change, and that's going to be brought back to the board at the second reading. We have a motion and support. Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Rowe?
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes. Stowe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
First reading is approved. Number 5 is request approval of proposal from OHM for professional engineering design services for a bus stop at Schooner Cove and South Huron River Drive in the amount of $14,330, which is budgeted in line item 101-970-000-974-100, contingent upon the following conditions: approval of the Washington County Road Commission, obtaining easements, approval of the Washington County Office of Community Economic Development, and approval of the township attorney.
So move.
Support.
Motion Rose, support Wilson to approve. Jessica's here. I have one question.
Good evening, Madam Supervisor.
And you're Jessica?
Yes, I'm Jessica Howard with OHM.
Thank you. The person who does the minutes, they're not in the room, that's why we asked for that. What is the cost of a bus shelter? Approximately, you know?
So usually we just put in the pad and then AAATA actually puts in the bus shelter itself. So I don't know the true cost. We just collaborate with them on the location of the pad that they like where it is and then prepare it per ADA standards. That would be a good question for, I'm assuming, Jeff Murphy at AAATA. I imagine it could range depending on what style from anywhere from like $5,000 to maybe 10. Again, that just depends on what kind of bus shelter that's going to go in. So,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Are there any other questions? Attorney Winter?
Jessica, just one question, just to make, maybe for my purposes of clarification. The drawings are going to be prepared by OHM if the board approves. The construction is then going to be performed by a yet-to-be-selected contractor?
Correct.
The reason I'm asking that because obviously of the ADA design, and given what we went through and still going through with these ADA related matters on the pedestrian pathway, is the specifications then going to be put out for a bid in the normal process by the township or by the county, or do you know exactly who's going to be overseeing the
They want us to do it.
Yeah, so we would work with the township, and the township is going to get reimbursed for the CDBG funds. It'll be posted on Mitten, so the township will actually house the bidding services. But for collaboration of the bus shelter itself, we can coordinate with AAATA, and we can include their specs for the shelter in our plans, unless they have a separate contractor that they already work with for the shelter itself.
I guess what I need to let the board know is if we're going to have dollars invested, which I think we're going to, we want to make sure that we have the indemnifications in place because of what we've gone through, not anyone's fault, just in regards to the issue about the ADA design pedestrian, that lawsuit is still going on and it's taken up an awful lot of time and resources, even though it's been handled primarily by the insurance. It's been one that it continues to be at issue. And I know these design issues become a challenge sometimes because there's a moving target, or so it seems, in regards to what the design standards were this date and time, what it could be when actually constructed. But as long as we have in place the proper indemnification, I just want to let the board be aware of that because it does sound like we have some skin in the game in terms of the financial commitment. It sounds like we do, if we're going to be approving contracts. So just wanted to give everybody that reminder that on Harris Road, for example, I think Clerk Rowe mentioned that that was a project that did not require us to have the indemnification in place because it was being funded solely by the Road Commission. This one, I think we have some financial commitment that's going to require that kind of protection.
Actually, this one is going to be just like, it's total pass-through, but Office of Community and Economic Development wants us to handle it. Well, it is somewhat different. They want us to handle it like we do the like we do the paving projects.
Yeah, we're signing.
That we bid them, but this one will be bidded out. Instead of the Road Commission bid those out, we'll be bidding this one out. They suppose they're going to, and like that, all those things that are listed as contingents, that's because OCED said, move forward, don't spend a dime. They really don't even want us to sign these contracts until they say we're ready to go. Because HUD has all these rules about sign a contract before some other thing is done. So we put this on the agenda so that if all that stuff can happen before September, that we don't have to wait for another month to get it. But so we won't even be signing the contracts until Road Commission, till everybody kind of says, yeah, we're ready to go. The easements are in place. Because we don't even have, I don't think they have the easements yet, so.
Correct.
Yeah.
I understand that, but I understand we have some more. We
I
have
hear what
more
you're saying.
exposure in this one than
Yeah, so you're right, because this is going to be our project.
Attorney Winters, just so I'm clear, you want indemnification from design?
we want identification in regards to anything to do with ADA compliance, whether it's by designs or either by construction, because that's where we get brought into the issue, and it's, again, everybody carries liability insurance for that reason. I just want to make sure the board is aware this may be one that we might want to make sure we include, that's all.
Include it in the contract?
Include in regards to design and construction.
I know, it's the contract that we're voting on, you want to include that language. That's what okay. We have a motion support, is that a friendly amendment?
Actually, it says there that he's going to approve it. I mean, it's not that specific.
Well, I just want to be more specific so that nobody has any
Gotcha, okay, I apologize.
Tell anyone what they have to put in something, but I want to let the board decide that, but that'd be my recommendation.
Did I include that in the original motion, not only the approval of township attorney, but whatever indemnifications that he wants added to the contract be added to protect the township? Is that good?
That's a friendly amendment, is that accepted, Wilson?
Yes, that's accepted.
All right, and it does have bidding assistance, so you'll be bidding it out for the township, right?
Correct.
Through the clerk's office.
Yep.
Through the clerk's office? Right?
Yep,
Is that
yep,
what I'm
we'll
saying?
assist
Do I
with-
understand that?
Yeah, right.
Yep,
Just like-
Karen and
Just
Lisa.
like we did the roof, and, yeah.
Yep.
And Minton is the only place you're going to advertise on, though, because of the short notice, or? Because I know there's lots of cement and,
So we do Mitten, it's just Michigan friendly. Lots of contractors are already on it. Instead of us bidding it with the shareholder list through our office, it's just housed and it's all digital, and it actually cuts costs on contractors paying for contract books and plans, because they just pay their annual fee to Mitten, and then they have access to all the projects that are posted statewide.
We sent it, we put it on our website, and we also, if there's anybody
Yeah,
like
we send it
Joan
to
or anybody
people,
like
yeah.
that Debbie Graham has, or purchasing, or that we know of, we can send, we send those out to you.
that's what I thought.
Yep.
Yeah. It's not just Minton.
I know we use a couple really good
Right.
submit folks locally.
Right.
Your understanding too, Jessica?
Yeah.
We have a motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6 is a request of Wayne Dudley, Public Services Superintendent, for approval of a change order to technical environmental services for soil remediation during the fuel tank removal at the Civic Center in the amount of $2,453.89, which is budgeted in line item 101-265-000-931-020.
So moved.
Motion Rowe, support Gerald Rowe to approve the request. Is there questions or comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 7 is a request of Wayne Dudley, the Public Service Superintendent, to accept a donation in an amount not to exceed $2,400 from Strykoff Family Foundation for the installation of windscreens at the Ford Lake Park pickleball courts, and to waive the financial policy and accept the quote from All Court Fabrics in the amount of $2,400 for the windscreen, which is budgeted in line item 212-212-000-977-000.
Move to approve.
Support.
Motion, Ross Williams, support Wilson. Discussion?
Madam Chair, just again, just recognizing how wonderful it is that this foundation's decided to give that contribution to township.
Much appreciated. There's a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 8 is a request of Michael Sarin, the hydro operator, for approval of a change order number 2 from James Leffel and Company for additional work on generator number 2 in the amount of $47,760, which is budgeted in line item 252-252-000-977-000.
Move to approve.
Motion Eldridge, support Doe, to approve the change order for the hydro station. Are there questions or comment? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9 is request of Michael Radzik, the OCS Director, for approval of the authorizing document for conversion services with the State of Michigan Records Management Services and Graphic Sciences to convert paper property files to digital images in the amount of $73,000, which is budgeted in line item 249-249-000-801-000.
So move.
Support.
Motion Gerald Rose, support Wilson.
If possible, as we discussed earlier, may we add, and also contingent upon attorney review of the document and successful completion of the random sample testing, which should be completed by
Would you
GSI within
accept
the
it as
next
a
week.
friendly amendment?
Yes.
Got a question?
Yes.
Mike, I think Doug hit on it a little bit earlier. I just want to clarify. So every document they take out, is there some way we're going to mark that so we know it went with them? So in case it does get lost or falls out of the mail truck?
Nancy Rabakowski's been assigned to be the project manager on our end, and she'll work in coordination with the project manager for GSI, and the State of Michigan Records Management Division oversees everything they do, and it has to be done in compliance with the state guidelines under their contract. So I think it's a good idea that we not let them walk out all at once with everything, so we'll do it in smaller increments and put as much quality control and control of the documents as possible.
And then the other question I wanted to ask during the work session was, when these get all put on the discs or the
Web?
DVDs, is that what it is, or CDs?
I believe they're DVDs.
DVDs?
Yeah.
When it gets put on all of those, do we have the current capacity in our network to hold it, or are we going to need to upgrade that?
As soon as we get the sample documents back, we'll have an approximation of how many megabytes, gigabytes for that random sample. We could extrapolate based on the estimate of almost 700,000.
We're probably going to need an upgrade, I would think.
New server.
I can't speak for
Yeah.
IT. They would have to address that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair? It was just one question. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but it says under pricing schedule, project costs will be invoiced monthly by the Department of Technology Management and Budget. So does that mean after this project is done, they're going to be invoicing monthly? I'm not sure, because it just says that, and it just kind of stuck out at me. It's
I
under
don't
the
know off the
pricing
top of my head, but
Yeah.
I do know if we do choose the option to let them take a small increment of records at once, before they come to get the next group, they'll deliver the product, the finished product on DVD. And maybe, I'm thinking that's probably a reference if it is done incrementally.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome. But all of these options that we've discussed has no impact on the estimated cost of the project.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that.
Mike, does it also, by upgrading to digital, does it mean that our residents or property owners, anyone can have access to this? Or is it just for internal use?
Our purpose is for easier internal use to search for and get access to records in PDF format. Whether those records are put on our website for the public would be a board policy decision. I don't know what, if any, privacy-protected information might be in any of those files, so they'd have to be reviewed, probably by legal counsel.
Because a lot of your requests is because people ask for it, right? Like,
Yes, a lot of the accessing, searching and accessing is to fulfill FOIA requests filed with the clerk's office. But a lot of our planning projects, we have to, frankly, a lot of our legal cases, we're asked to do extensive research on the history of the property, dating back as far as our records go, and sometimes they go way back. And we found some interesting things in there over the years.
I think it would be nice if eventually we could get there and guarantee that it's not altered, viewed only, or,
Yes.
But I think that would be a good service for a resident.
Absolutely.
Clerk Rowe?
I know
Great.
in the conversations, which I don't know, hopefully get through the elections or maybe have time to refocus on it before the new software, that those conversations have all come up. And extensively if we got the software that's protected, because then you can decide on there when the information's in there what can be viewed and what can't be viewed, and it's guaranteed. I don't think we have the capability right now to guarantee, but that's a question for Travis, to guarantee that things can't be manipulated or moved. So I don't think that's one of the reasons why. Like internally, we can tell, like if it did get changed, we can tell who did that, but I'm not sure about outside if you'd be able to do that. But I think that's, as you said, Supervisor Stumble, that would be great to be able to do that. So hopefully we're going to bring back phase 1, which would be, I think the clerk's office and accounting wants to be the first, or Travis is recommending us to be the first for the software purchase.
It's in the 2019 budget.
Ms. Kaiser just asked me a question. That's actually a great one, just so you know. Part of this project and the cost, upon completion of all the conversions and our acceptance of all of the digital version, that then becomes our official record, and the original paper documents are turned over to the state Department of Technology Management and Budget, the Records Management Services Office, and they're then destroyed by the state under their legal guidelines. So we don't get those 400 boxes of records back.
Is there any indemnification?
I wasn't sure on the statement that they make in there. They're putting that on to you to make sure that that's the retention. That's what I cautioned during the work session about, because I don't think until we get that software, like you might have them hold them. I'm looking for your file. But yeah, there was a paragraph where they put that on the township to make sure it matches the retention schedule. And I don't believe right now, because we don't have protections on our servers.
So I noted the comments that were made earlier, and I'll look into
Yeah,
that.
because he makes that one statement about, somewhere in here, puts it on the township for that.
How many other communities have done this? Do you know?
I don't know exactly, but I can tell you Greg Colson, I believe his name was, from GSI, the gentleman that came here and took a look at everything and gave us an estimate. He's been doing this for 20 years. He said he's worked with municipal records all throughout the state of Michigan. And everything that is in the scope of work in this project is standard for what they do. He also did comment, just so for our internal employees, that 20 years of doing this, our records were the neatest and most well-organized set of 19,000 full file folders that he had ever seen. And they were amazed because it's going to make their job so much easier. He said a lot of places they go, there's some on a shelf, there's some in a desk drawer, there's some in a box behind the oven, there's stuff everywhere, and it's not in order. And he complimented us greatly, and that's a tribute to our employees.
Yeah, one of the questions I had asked, if you could attach this information to the BSNA file that every property, because you can cert, as you know.
And that I don't know. I have to speak with the IT department.
That was one of the, if we get the software, that was one of the, when Travis bid it out, and so and that can be done. People are doing that. It's a patchwork between the new software to BSNA that goes back and forth.
We've done this before, but not with paper records. If you remember, up in OCS, we used to have quite a collection of old microfiche records with an old reader that the public would actually, if they wanted to see it, would have to come and sit in the corner and manipulate these slides. And we paid GSI to digitize those as well, and those are currently stored on our network drive for access. So this will be the same thing, only paper to digital instead of microfilm.
Yeah, I know.
Madam,
It's more efficient, I do know that.
just along the lines of like efficiency for your department and all of that, I was reminded today about our businesses and their submitting their, whatever you call it. And I saw one of their postings, and I just think that your department just keeps moving in a more streamlined fashion, and I appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I think we've got almost 400 businesses that have
Great.
registered by the deadline.
Registry, that's what it was. Thank you for that word.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none. Stan, did you have a thought, or?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is request of Mike Radzik, OCS Director, for authorization to seek legal action if necessary to abate public nuisances for property located at 1375 North Prospect and 1777 Smith Street in the amount of $20,000, which is budgeted in line item 101-950-000-801023.
To approve.
Motion Doe,
Support.
support Gerald Rowe. Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 11 is a request of Karen Wallen, Human Resources, for authorization to change providers for short-term disability, long-term disability, and life insurance coverage to Dearborn National and raise life insurance coverage for retirees to $15,000.
So move.
Support.
Motion Rose, support Eldridge. Is there discussion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I would just like to ask if Doug has had a chance to review this change and.
Yes, I have. In fact, I think it actually was coming up during our contract negotiations. We were trying to figure out how to actually increase that type of benefit because it was so low for our
Right.
retirees. And I've not seen the actual paperwork that will go from one provider to another in terms of the overall understanding. I mean, Karen's memo was pretty clear, but I haven't seen the actual documents yet, so.
Yeah. The current provider had an 18% increase this year for life insurance, so they started shopping. And they found they can get more coverage for even still less money. Yeah. Any other questions or want to do it at contingent upon attorney review? We can do that.
I mean, I always like,
Yeah, and we usually do, but we can put that in there.
is that okay?
It's fine with me.
It's fine with me. Yeah.
Friendly amendment accepted?
Sorry, Doug.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item, request approve a letter of agreement for Tower Point Capital to purchase interest in the cell tower located at 2801 Holmes Road in the amount of $176,400.
So moved.
Support.
Motion Rose, support Gerald Rowe. Attorney Winters?
Yes, this was what I was alluding to during the attorney report. The 176,400 is the, for future rent payments that are going to be in a lump sum. We will also share 50/50 of future revenues in terms of co-location. And the 18,900 that we've already received, or, well, we received on August the 1st, we're going to keep that. And we just asked if the board approves this, that authorize Supervisor Stumbo and Clerk Rowe to sign all necessary documents to effectuate that transaction.
Questions or comments?
Just a comment.
Yes.
Thank you, Attorney Winters, for continuing to turn over rocks as Trustee Wilson has asked you to do.
Follow his orders.
This is the very last one of our cell towers,
Yes.
right?
It's the last rock.
All of
That's
those were.
right.
All right, we have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 13 is a request for a salary adjustment of $3,000 for the deputy clerk beginning Monday, August 27th, changing the current salary from $59,188 to $62,188. Suggested it's funded by a line item transfer within the clerk's budget.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
if we're going to discuss this tonight, I would ask that we go into a closed session with just the board and the attorney, or not discuss it at all this evening. It's a personnel issue, in my opinion. I don't believe it should be discussed right now in an open forum till we can vet and say a few things.
Madam Chair, I would concur.
And if it's not appropriately before the board to go into a closed session, then I would ask that we table it and go into a closed session at a later time.
We're going to be in closed session Friday, right, Madam Chair?
I'm just, let me sort. So this is, we've already set the salary for the deputy clerk for this year, so I don't understand why you're bringing, we already voted on the salary.
I brought it forward because we had talked about that and about the amount of work that the deputy clerk does. And
I haven't talked to you at all since you put this on this agenda.
no, not since
all.
then, but we talked about it before.
No, we mentioned it in a meeting, but
Right. So, I mean, I
I've
wasn't doing
never
it
had a
controversial. I wasn't trying to cause controversy, so I know if Doug thinks it's appropriate and you want to talk about it in closed session.
we've already voted on the resolution setting her salary for this year.
I'm going to make a motion to table this agenda item until our next board meeting.
I would second it.
I didn't hear what you said, I'm sorry.
A motion to table this agenda item. till the next
Until
board
when?
meeting.
Until when?
The next board meeting.
Or a special meeting that might be called?
Yeah,
If you want to go
whatever's
into
the next
executive
schedule.
session, that's what I'm having a hard time with, is,
I would make that friendly amendment. We're talking about a current personnel, and no matter how it comes out, it's always awkward to do that, especially in public. I just don't think it's appropriate for the employee nor the board to do that.
Well, I didn't mean to offend anyone. I'm really sorry for that. I didn't even think about
we have
that.
a motion in support to table.
But
Until
he said
the
to,
next regular meeting?
I thought he said she said regular meeting, he said executive. I don't know, Doug, is it appropriate for I don't know if it's appropriate for the closed session.
I don't have a letter in
The
regards
law's
to
pretty clear on that.
go into executive session, but I don't know of an exception right off the top of my head that would fit. I would just say, I know we're having a discussions on Friday in regards to the ESPE contract, which may not have anything to do with this one too, so.
I'm frankly surprised it's on the agenda when we already
Madam
voted
Chair.
on it. That's all I got to, there's a motion in
So if I could
support
just
to
explain my
table.
motion, it would be so that the board, the full-time officials, can come to somewhat of a consensus about this topic before it's discussed in an open setting. So we're not,
Well, we have a motion in support to table, so are you withdrawing that, or?
no, I'm not, but just to table it, to give you guys time to whatever. So it can be tabled until the next scheduled board meeting. It can be tabled until your, whatever meeting of the minds happens next, whether that's Friday or the next scheduled board meeting, because I know I wasn't clear.
I didn't know who supported that.
I
Stan.
did.
Oh, sorry, Monica.
Yes.
So really, there's no discussion.
So the motion is to table into a meeting of the minds of the 3 full-time officials?
No, a meeting of all the minds that are able to be here.
Okay,
Whether that's Friday or the next scheduled board meeting.
Either
Yeah,
Friday.
either one will be fine with me as long as Monica supports.
Point of clarification, if it could just be tabled until the next scheduled board meeting, I think that pretty much explains what needs to be done, or at least what I would support, is the motion, table it until the next scheduled board meeting.
Well, that wasn't her motion, but
That's
okay.
fine.
I would,
Not her motion.
I
There
accept
was
the
mo-
amendment.
I would still offer the amendment to be in closed session. I still don't believe it's
Doug said he didn't know if you could do that or not.
with the next board meeting.
So this gives us time to
figure that out.
for Doug to understand if it's appropriate to be in closed session. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So table it until we can get the attorney's direction on it. Can we do it in closed session?
Yes, and hopefully that direction is here before our next scheduled board meeting.
I would accept that friendly amendment.
That's a very common, I'm sorry for the person doing the minutes.
So we have a motion in support to table.
Well, I'm really sorry.
Carol Rowe,
Yes.
Eldridge.
Yes.
Ross Williams.
Yes.
Yes.
Stumble votes yes, Doe,
Yes.
and Wilson.
Yes.
Listen to
It is tabled. Request to increase election inspectors' hourly rates to $13 per hour beginning with the November 6, 2018 general election.
So moved.
Support.
We have a motion and support to approve the increase. I don't, when you say line item transfer, where's it coming from? Is that how you're going to pay for it?
No, we have funds, none on this. Line item transfer was for Lisa's increase. There's money in the line item that we pay those out of.
So you,
Because most of it's, a lot of it's passed through anyways, like, I think this election, and trying to think if this election is.
So you budgeted enough for the increase? Is that what I heard you say?
Because of the pass-throughs, yeah, yeah,
Lisa, is that,
yes.
so you budgeted for the increase?
Because we ended up, like even the last election, even though I scheduled, I was lucky if I had 6 at each precinct because I had people falling off left and right. And I respectfully know that the board already voted on this, but as you know, the words.
What do you mean falling off? What does that mean?
I ended up scheduling like 8. I wanted to have 8 people at each thing because especially with the confusion on then the dual precincts where I had both Ypsi and the 2 different ballots, and then especially with the crossovers, I wanted to have a person, but it just didn't work out because as people, they literally, I had 3 not show up and 4 not show. I mean, it ended up, I think we probably had. The average was 6 for each one, even though I originally staffed them with 8 because of a variety of reasons. They jumped up. So when we budgeted and stuff for the big elections for this August and November, we budgeted those to staff those with,
8.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting that totally confused on myself talking about. So we ended up with less, so there's more. And plus, that's enough. I've said enough. I'm confusing myself.
And I did talk to some other people who are very happy with the money that they earned on that day, very happy. I think we should look at possibly doing a split shift so people don't have to stay so long at the poll. I mean, there's things you can do to accommodate some of the issues that were raised being there the entire time. And because I'm not sure why it's an issue now, and I don't know why it wasn't an issue when I was clerk, but something's changed. And maybe a lot of seniors did it before. We had a lot of seniors involved.
I still have probably 50% seniors.
So I don't understand. Well, I think we can help market it and get more people to participate if that's a challenge.
Well, I think that the chairperson really helped because I lost, and now I've had, and I know for a fact, people have jumped up that are willing to do the chair thing, so I really appreciate that. And I do know that we took this to the board before, but once of course, they had an election, and the chairs and the co-chairs talked about their raises, so then when I walked through, it's like, well, why did they get a raise and they didn't? Why don't you bring it back? And I said, I'll take it back. They said, they got a raise. We all got a raise at the same time. So I said, I'll take it back. So I do know the board. I'm not being disrespectful. I do know the board said no to that original, but I did.
Well, you asked for a compromise on it.
Right. So I know. Because, well, it looked like it was, right. Well, I won't go into details on that. But anyways, we were all here. But, yeah, so, yeah, people do see. They call up on their checks. They're wanting to know. They don't want them in the mail. They want them picked up. And, if they're a dime, they know down to the dollar.
Well, that's true. That's always true.
Yes. They want it's not like.
Trustee Eldred, did you?
It's not like.
I do.
For them.
I know in the community I work in, that municipality pays this wage and higher. I don't have a problem with the amount at all. My concern the last time was the number of people that we have working in some of the polling places which don't dictate 6 to 8 people.
Right.
That's my concern, is that if we're going to spend more money, and that's okay, but let's spend it more efficiently and more wisely. At the most recent election, I didn't go until later in the evening. There were 7 people working. I was only the 70th person through. I'm not sure that warranted the most recent.
Maybe in May.
No, the most recent one.
But your precinct close to 2,000.
The other part is with finding workers. Again, I work at a university. The municipality comes in and actively recruits not only our general students, but our student athletes who are not in season. And I would encourage us to use Washtenaw Community College, Eastern Michigan University, their athletic teams. They all have a component, as we do, for community service that they get credit for on a national scale. And that may help you with some of your workers. Again, it's not the cost. I just think we need to be a little more efficient in the number of people we have at each polling place to say we're going to have a minimum number at each precinct. Maybe that precinct doesn't dictate that you need that many. Maybe there's others that need more. I just think we need to be a little more cost conscious with it.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
couple things. As a person that actually introduced the compromise, I just wanted to make sure that it's clear in regards to why that compromise came up. If you go back, and actually, it's actually in the June 19th, 2018 board meeting minutes, it says trustee Ross Williams, she would agree to the new pay scale as long as there were no additional increases for the next 3 to 4 years. She said she saw smaller communities such as Pittsfield pay 17 and Manchester pays 20. Now, that was for the cheers and the co-cheers. The other thing that I said is that I made a friendly amendment to change the rate of the pay to the chairperson to 17, the co-chairs to 13, and the election inspector to 12. The reason why is because we're trying to get a happy medium in regards to what the chairperson, what the co-chairs, and basically what the election inspector would be paid. That is why the friendly amendment came up in the first place. I just want to make sure that I'm making that clear. Secondly, I guess there's a lot of appointed boards inside Ypsilanti Township and also other elected boards inside Ypsilanti Township. And I guess my question is, why are we not looking at those two for any type of increases? Because, again, I know the election inspectors are appointed by the election committee, which I happen to sit on, and I'm very happy to be able to appoint people that want to take part in their civic duty in order to help with elections. But the point of the compromise was to try and find a happy medium. It's not about basically saying that, election inspectors deserve less than a chairperson or a co-chair. It was actually just to try and make it even. But I do want to bring out the point that there are other appointed boards that have not probably had increases, and I don't know when. And we haven't talked about that issue. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Okay. We have a motion support.
Supervisor,
Pardon me?
can I make a comment?
Yes?
First of all, I want to apologize. I interrupted when Stan was talking. But in the last election, I think you might have been referring to the May, because in the last election, we had a 64 to 72% turnout. I don't know if I had less than 800 ballots anywhere at the end of the night, and some were closer to 2,000. But anyways, but in the May election, I purposely, part of what you saw there was scheduling people in during a slow election when they can, because my turnover has been so great. A slow election is a great time to have people come in so that they can get trained by a chairperson, like maybe one more election I'll work, and if I can do that, then I'll be a chair next time. So that's what you saw in a lot of places. It's like I don't just schedule extra people just to schedule extra people, especially because, people are gone in different times of the year, so it's really, it's hard. So that's what you saw when there's not necessarily there was a need based on the turnout, but a training grounds when things are slow. Because like this last election was impossible to train anybody because they were busy the entire time. People did not even get to take breaks or lunches. So I'm really geeking up for November, because November is obviously going to be even a better turnout, which I'm excited. 64 to 70%. It broke all records back to since they've been keeping them. It was comparable to the 2002 election when Jennifer Granholm got elected, and Bonnier and Blanchard, and anyways, all those people on there. So it was exciting that we were so busy. So that's probably what you saw in May, Stan.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I just want to, clarify, I don't think anyone was suggesting that there are too many people at one spot or another. I think what I heard was similar to talking about things like nurse-to-patient ratios, like in your high acuity areas, you're busier all the time, you have lower ratios. So higher number of election workers to a higher number of voters versus smaller in number of precinct to smaller number of
Right,
voters.
correct.
Just to clarify.
Thanks for that clarification. So we have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Request to set a public hearing date of Tuesday, September 18th, 2018, at approximately 7 o'clock for a special assessment tax roll.
So moved.
Support.
Motion Rose, support Eldridge. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under authorization and bids, we have the request to award low bid for the replacement of the Civic Center roof to William Molnar Roofing in the amount of $183,000 with a contingency amount of $20,000 for a total amount of $203,000, budget in line item 101-970-00975-141.
So moved.
Support.
Motion Rowe, support Eldridge. Discussion? This, wait till Jessica gets up here.
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Well, Rain, I just didn't see where the Molnar company was from. Do we know where they're located?
Where the what?
Where they're from.
Riverview, Michigan.
And there was this, only one bidder on this.
Correct. There was only one bidder. We're noticing a trend with the trades in general. We just received bids earlier this week in Royal Oak, and same thing, 1 or 0 bids even, just the timing of the year, and these trades are hurting to find more people to do the work.
And part of this is to look at the glass leaking as well, right?
Yes. Yep. So there's going to be testing performed separately with the contractor present, also with an OHM representative there, and a third-party tester from SME to determine how it is leaking, to determine how it can appropriately be repaired.
The roof and the windows.
Correct.
I just wanted to make that clarification. Any questions or comment? Mr. Winters, have you reviewed the contract?
I think right now do you and Matt have the contract documents, Jessica?
Correct.
I've not seen the documents. I know they follow pretty much just standard.
So contingent upon attorney approval? Is that a friendly amendment?
Yep.
It's all, just for a matter of record, because we don't ever sign the agreements until Doug has said they're okay, so, but you can put that in the motion with no problem, but just so everybody knows.
Right. Usually once we get
don't.
all of the documents from the contractor, then we vet them, and then they go to your attorney for review, approval, and then you guys sign.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2 is request to award the low bid for the replacement of the community center roof to Weather Seal Home Improvement in the amount of $100,600 with unit pricing as noted in the proposal and with a contingency amount of $10,000 for a total amount of $118,600. Budget in line item 101-970-000-976-008.
Move to approve.
Support.
There's a motion, Doe, support Ross Williams to award the low bid to the community center contingent upon attorney approval.
Correct.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, just a question, I guess, it's just about the 2 bids. So I saw that the Molnar company also bid on that one, but the unit prices were missing.
Yeah, so their unit prices were missing, as well as they were a higher bid for this project as far as the lump sum. When we don't do a quality-based selection, usually as long as all of the criteria is met, we go with the lowest bidder. So Weather Seal Home Improvements was the lowest bidder, which is why we're using a separate contractor for this roof. And also, the community center roof is asphalt shingle roof, and then this is a tar roof.
Thank you.
Yep.
We have major issues with leaking in the building.
Well, I recall.
So we have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Just under other business, the city of Ypsilanti is going to be sending the contract for the recycling at the compost center to our attorney very soon. We did ask about the street sweeper, and it was flat out no. So
Thank you
I
for
just want,
Thanks for
the minutes asked me to let you know at the next meeting, so I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, just one thing, I wanted to actually say, again, thank you to you for continuing to be diligent on the list that the community of West Willow gave you. I noticed that there are bumpers over at the, I guess it's the island where people will walk. And also, basically, there's a countdown sign on Tyler Road. And I went to the West Willow neighborhood meeting, and the residents are very pleased. So I just want to make sure I tell you thank you. They appreciate that you're continuing to work on that list.
Thank you, Molly. Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn?
Support.
Can't do it.
Yeah, you can.
Aye. Aye. Oh, and happy birthday, Karen.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. 46 today.
Yeah.
You know, when I grow up,